So that's some of what I do. I also serve on the Sunshine Committee where we talked about all kinds of exemptions, one of which is the ginseng exemption. That's where we started about 2.5 years ago. You may not even know what a ginseng exemption is, and I had no idea why we had a ginseng exemption. It turns out we have only 2 farmers in the entire state of Washington that grow ginseng. And I thought, gee, these farmers must be the most powerful lobbyists in all of Olympia. They can go down to Olympia and have a law written that exempts their records. Well, it turned out once we saw some research that there's an international treaty. Ginseng is a huge commodity in Asia. And there's wild ginseng and there's endangered ginseng. And so there's an international treaty that protects all these wild and endangered ginseng. And so it's a longer story than it's worth telling. But there is a reason for every single exemption that is enacted into law, and there's a special interest or a lobbyist behind it. And it's kind of like a puzzle that you're trying to unravel. And sometimes we say, as in the case of the ginseng exemption, that it should stay in place. But at least we got an answer as to why it exists. It's huge work, and it sometimes feels like you're bailing water out of a sinking ship because the legislature can create the exemptions faster than the Sunshine Committee can review them. I'll try to keep it short because I think the most valuable part of these forums is the question and answer portion. We always get some great questions, but I am accessible. If anybody wants to call me, I'll give you my direct office number. It's 360-586-4802. I only brought a handful of business cards. I did put some copies of the Open Government Task Force report, the one that recommends the creation of a state agency to enforce the Public Records Act. There are some copies of that outside. And I also answer my email, timf@atg.wa.gov. And with that, I'll just turn it over to the next speaker, and then we'll get
I didn't know you were that short. Tim understates just about everything. This guy is one of us. Even though he worked for the state and for the Attorney General, he's pretty one of us. And I've certainly personally I've appreciated Tim's association and relationship on the Sunshine Committee and elsewhere as well, especially like these panels that we've had. Dr. Jerry Hanfeld looks like he may be committing surgery in a minute. Jerry joined us on the Washington Coalition for Open Government Board. Now, we have to refer to it several years ago, and actually was elevated to its presidency, and then he quit. Unconscionable. Jerry's a state archivist. How many of you know what a state archivist is? Did you realize, he told me this tonight, you realize that the governor is protecting that agency? There are no intended budget cuts for the state archivist. Unbelievable. Jerry runs quite a shop. One of our Watchdog board meetings was over in Cheney, Washington, in this secret facility. I don't know who knows it. It's just off the practice field where the Seahawks used to train. I know that. And in that facility, you have all sorts of grand air conditioning machines and a lot of computers. And in that location, many of our, if not all, of our permanent archive records are stored. Quite a facility. Is it accessible to the public here? It's better. Okay, but Jerry also has the unique task of collecting documents and records from a variety of agencies, some of which may be doomed or already out of existence, and some of which may need to deliver their records someplace other than where they're kept now to create their own space. And this is the man and agency who accepts those records, reviews them, catalogs them, puts them in a place and preserves their condition so that in general, they are accessible to us and and those who come after us. Now, whether they're all accessible is a question that we will continue to debate with Jerry. There are some records that, while he keeps them, and the agencies may no longer exist. One example is the monorail situation in Seattle. The agency in Seattle went out of business, but there are still issues related to litigation, and so some of those records may not be accessible to the public at this time. Eventually they will be. Jerry accepted the position of the state archivist coming from Indiana, where he was also that state's archivist in 2001. He joined the state of Washington Archival Division of the Secretary of State's office with more than 25 years of experience in archiving, in history, and records management. He's a national leader in an effort to ensure the retention and accessibility of government documents that are published in electronic form. And as I said, he has served very well the Washington Coalition for Open Government. Jerry, tell us how you do it.
Thank you, Frank. We are going to make history today because we're going to talk about old things. And one of the first things I want to mention is that I'm real excited to come to Port Townsend because I was raised in New England, in a small New England town. And one of the first things I heard about Port Townsend is that there are a lot of Yankees here, not Yankee fans, but there are a lot of Yankees here a long time ago, and it reminds New Englanders of home. And what Frank didn't tell you is that we allow the public to visit our digital archives, but we look askance at journalists and lawyers. This is a picture of the building, and it's in Cheney, Washington, on the campus of Eastern Washington University. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute. But the first thing I want to say is that how many of you, if you have a New England heritage, how many of you have a New England heritage someplace in your background? So at least those of you are revolutionaries. And if you came here tonight, you are part of a very long tradition of citizens participating in democracy. I'm going to give you an example. Who said wonderful is the custody of public records? Not anybody from Port Townsend. It was a Greek philosopher, 300 BC, 2,300 years ago. People were praising the custody of public records because they are an important ingredient in any democracy.